Have you ever felt like your own mom could read your mind? That's what I lived with for 16 years. And trust me, it was both terrifying and exhausting. Hi, I'm Max. And this is my story. Welcome to Tasty Story. From the day I could remember, my mom always said she knew exactly what I was thinking. If I wanted to go out with friends, she'd suddenly say, "Don't even try it, I know you're planning to sneak out." If I dreamed about joining an art class, she'd shake her head, "That's not for you, I already read it in your thoughts." At first, I believed her. I was just a kid, and the idea that my mom had some kind of psychic power felt real. But as I grew older, it felt more like a cage. I wasn't allowed to make choices, to feel free, to even think without fear she'd invade my head. Things got worse when I met Johnny. He was the classic school heartthrob, tall, confident, with that smirk that made every girl blush. And somehow, he noticed me. For once, I felt special. But when I told my mom, she looked me dead in the eyes and said, "He doesn't care about you. He only sees you as a shadow. I can read his thoughts." Her words stabbed right through my chest. And stupidly, I believed her again. I broke up with Johnny before things even began. But soon, cracks began to show in her so-called abilities. She once warned me not to take the bus because I'd get into an accident. I took it anyway, and nothing happened. Another time, she said I'd fail my math test. I got an A. That's when suspicion started growing inside me. Maybe, she wasn't psychic at all. And then, one afternoon, I found proof. I opened my desk drawer and saw my diary, the one place I wrote down everything, shifted out of position. Some pages were bent, the ink smudged, like someone had flipped through it with careless hands. My heart dropped. My diary, she had been reading it. Rage consumed me. My private thoughts, my secrets, my pain, it wasn't magic. It was just snooping. So I came up with a plan. A little revenge. I wrote a ridiculous entry. "I wish Mom would wear a giant yellow duck costume and follow me to school camp." I smiled while writing it, thinking, if she reads this, she'll embarrass herself. Serves her right. The next morning, something unexpected happened. Johnny showed up at my door. He smiled, charming as ever. "Look, Max. I know things ended badly, but I want to make it up to you. Spend a day with me, please?" Against my better judgment, I said yes. My heart still wanted to believe him. But instead of a cute date, he drove me to an abandoned house outside town. My stomach twisted. And then, the truth came out. Johnny pulled out his phone, hit record, and smirked. "I told the guys I could get you back in a week. Guess what? I win." My world shattered. I was just a bet. He shoved a bottle of alcohol into my hands, telling me to drink. Fear crawled up my spine. I was trapped. Suddenly, the door burst open. And in came a giant yellow duck. Yes. A human-sized duck. Johnny froze. My eyes widened. And then I realized, oh my God, it was my mom. She charged straight at him, feathers wobbling, voice fierce, "Stay away from my daughter." Before I knew it, she grabbed me, pulling me out of that nightmare. We ran, my heart pounding, half terrified and half laughing at the absurdity of it all. My mom, in a duck suit, saving me from the worst mistake of my life. When we finally stopped, I turned to her and shouted, "I know the truth. You can't read minds. You've been reading my diary all along. And I only wrote about the duck to mess with you." Her face fell. Silence stretched. And then she whispered, "I'm sorry. I was so afraid of losing you, of you making choices that hurt you. I thought controlling you was protecting you. But I was wrong." Tears stung my eyes. I whispered back, and I was wrong too. I shouldn't have tried to get revenge. But you were right about Johnny. He was never good for me. For the first time in years, we hugged. A real hug. A promise that things would change. Since then, Mom never pretended to be psychic again. She stopped touching my diary. And I started opening up to her, willingly. That crazy day taught me something huge. Relationships, whether with family or anyone else, can't survive without trust. And as silly as it sounds, it took a yellow duck costume to remind us of that. Thanks for listening to my story. This was Tasty Story, where drama meets reality. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me for more unbelievable stories next time.
Hi, I'm Kaylin, and I grew up in the shadow of my half-sister, Ula. From the outside, people probably thought we were just two normal sisters. But the truth? Ula hated me from the day she could talk. She always believed my mom and I destroyed her family, and she made sure I never forgot it. I still remember my 9th birthday. Mom baked me a cake, decorated with sprinkles and candles. But when I took the first bite, my mouth filled with salt. The whole room laughed. And standing in the corner, Ula smirked. That was her. Always finding a way to humiliate me. In middle school, she taped a note to my back that said homewrecker. Kids whispered, teachers stared, and I just wanted to disappear. Every time I tried to fight back, Ula was one step ahead. And my mom, she kept telling me, be patient, Kaylin. One day your sister will understand. But I didn't believe her. When high school started, both Ula and I joined the cheer team. For me, cheerleading was freedom, flying high as a flyer, hearing the crowd cheer. For Ula, it was another stage to shine. And then it happened. After a week of training, our new coach made the announcement, Kaylin will be the main flyer. The gym fell silent. My heart skipped a beat. And then I saw Ula's face, red, furious, eyes sharp as knives. From that moment, I knew my life was about to get even harder. My uniform got slashed. My shoes went missing. My water bottle turned neon blue from dye. Everyone laughed, but I knew it was Ula. She was out for blood. One evening, practice ended late. I went up to the school rooftop to cool off, but Ula was waiting. The wind was wild, the sun sinking. She pointed to a thin plank connecting our building to the next. If you're really better than me, she sneered, prove it. Cross that plank. My stomach dropped. It wasn't just dangerous, it was insane. I shook my head. This isn't a game, Ula. You'll get hurt. But she stepped forward anyway. One foot on the plank, then another. My heart pounded as the wood creaked under her weight. I screamed, stop. Please, stop. But she didn't listen. The wind howled. Ula swayed. And in that second, she slipped, arms flailing, body tipping toward the edge. I didn't think. I just ran. I grabbed her hand and yanked with all my strength. We both collapsed onto the rooftop, gasping for breath. For the first time in my life, Ula's face wasn't angry. It was pale. Terrified. And then, tears. Why would you save me? She whispered. I've done nothing but hate you. My chest ached as I held back tears. Because, you're still my sister. And I never wanted to lose you. Something broke inside her that night. She confessed that she had always felt second best, terrified Dad loved me more, terrified Mom would erase her place. So she turned her fear into cruelty. We cried. And then, after 16 years, we hugged. That night, on the rooftop, something changed. We weren't enemies anymore. We were sisters. And maybe, for the first time ever, we finally became a team. This was my story. If you want to hear more true drama, heartbreak, and redemption, stay with us here at Tasty Story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because every story deserves to be heard.
Hi everyone, it's Sunny. People say I was born pretty, but to my family, that's all I was ever good for. My parents are both intellectuals, Dad's a professor, Mom's a doctor. At our dinner table, grades and achievements were the only currency that mattered. And every time, I was the bankrupt one. Next to me was Amber, my younger sister, the genius, the golden child. She excelled in everything, academics, debates, social skills. She was the shining star. And I was the shadow. Whenever I mentioned my love for fashion design, my parents brushed it off. Clothes? Dresses? That won't take you anywhere, Sunny. Those words cut deeper than they realized. At our summer family party, I dared to wear a dress I had designed myself. I thought maybe, just maybe, someone would notice. But while Amber impressed the guests with her sharp opinions, I stumbled over my words, clueless about politics or science. One guest laughed, "Sunny, you probably only know how to talk about dresses, right?" Even Amber giggled. My face burned with shame. That night, Dad scolded me. "Stop embarrassing us. Focus on studying, not silly dreams." I locked myself in my room, clutching my sketchbook. Tears stained the pages, but I kept drawing. Because deep inside, I knew this was who I was. Then came prom night, the night that changed everything. Amber was radiant, expecting Tim, the boy she admired, to ask her to dance. But when she approached him, he sneered, grabbed a drink, and poured it all over her dress. "You think you're the queen? Get real." Gasps filled the room. My perfect sister stood frozen, humiliated, her eyes glistening with tears. And for the first time, I didn't see the flawless Amber I had envied all my life. I saw my little sister, crushed and broken. I stepped forward, placed my shawl over her shoulders, and whispered, "Don't let him define you. You deserve to shine." I dragged her into the dressing room, grabbed scissors, pins, ribbons, anything I could find. My hands moved on instinct. Within minutes, her ruined gown transformed into a brand new creation, bolder and brighter. When Amber walked back out, the crowd gasped again, but this time in awe. "Wow. Amber looks stunning." Even Tim was speechless. Amber held her head high, ignoring him, owning the room like the queen she truly was. I stood at the edge, my heart pounding. Not because people cheered for her, but because, secretly, it was me they were cheering for. My design. My vision. My worth. Later that night, Amber found me backstage. Her voice trembled. "Sunny. I'm sorry. I've been unfair. I was jealous of you, even though everyone thought I was better. Tonight, you saved me. You showed me who you really are." She hugged me, tight. It was the first time my sister ever admitted she admired me. The next day at breakfast, Amber shocked our parents. "Mom, Dad. Sunny isn't useless. She's talented. She designed my prom dress last night and turned my disaster into the best night of my life. You need to let her follow her dream." The table fell silent. My parents stared at me, as if seeing me for the first time. For once, their eyes didn't hold disappointment. They held respect. From that moment, everything changed. My parents no longer dismissed my sketches. They encouraged me to apply to fashion school. Amber became my biggest supporter, proudly showing off my designs. And me? I finally stepped out of the shadow. I realized something important: success isn't measured by grades alone. Sometimes, all it takes is one moment of courage to prove your worth. I'm Sunny, and this was my story. Thanks for watching on Tasty Story. If my journey moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. Because every story has flavor, and you don't want to miss the next taste.